Okay. Well, originally, many years ago, too many for me to admit to, I studied painting in an art college in Limerick. As you might have guessed from my accent, I'm Irish, but yeah, so I studied painting, but I seem to spend an awful lot of time in the darkroom. And I just love photography. I love playing with photography, especially playing with negatives and layering them and doing all kinds of things with them. And I kind of my idea was I'd kind of translate that back into paintings. So I did that for a while. Then I left college and I got a job to fund my art practice. And, I discovered this wonderful thing called earning money, and as I earned money, I was having a robust social life and enjoying myself. And so I kind of stopped painting for a while. And then I went back to it after a couple of years, but it just didn't seem to work for me. It would take me forever to make anything. And when I did make it, I wasn't very happy. So I was kind of like having a success to failure ratio that was just enormous. And so I just kind of hit a wall with that, basically. And I had started developing a very serious health problem, which actually knocked me out for the best part of a decade. I had undiagnosed sleep apnea. So which was rather severe and left me with severe chronic fatigue. So I had to choose between earning a living and making work. So the painting went by the wayside again. And then I started getting back into photography, just as a practice, about when basically I got diagnosed with sleep apnea. I got a CPAP machine, which cured the sleep apnea, which is absolutely wonderful, gave me a new lease of life. And I went back to my first love, which was photography, because, I got sick of the smell of oil paint. And I was trying to find just a direction. I was trying different things. I was, trying to do, I don't know, photograph landscape, large format, all that kind of stuff. Nothing seemed to work for me. It wasn't that things I was doing weren't that, they weren't particularly good, but, they just didn't work. They didn't speak to me. I wasn't getting excited by them. And then one day I was photographing my ex down in a forest near where I live. It was her idea actually to bring along a long Victorian dress she'd wear. So I took this photograph of her and it was okay. But I discovered, because I was using large format negatives, they're so big, I took two of the negatives and just flipped one on top of the other and held it up to a light. And I saw this mirrored image and I thought, that's very interesting. So I started basically mirroring stuff. As I said, just getting images, mirroring them, layering them, and discovered that by doing this, I could create these strange creatures. And I found it really exciting. It was really fun. I just really enjoyed doing it. And it worked even better when I discovered there was actually an app on my phone that would do it for me. So what I would do is I'd go out with my phone, take photographs, mirror them on the app, and that gave me a chance to see which ones worked, which ones didn't. And then I'd go out with my proper camera, and sometimes a large format film camera, and take the image, the same image, mirror it, bring it home, work on it, and edit it until I got something that I liked. And it seems to me that this kind of way of working just seems to really suit me. It really kind of, because I suppose I'm not going out trying to make an image. I'm not looking at the scene and saying, I need to make this into an image, because I can't know what it's going to look like until I take it home. So what happens more is I will take dozens of photographs, sometimes hundreds of photographs, and bring them back and go through the unbelievably tedious process of just mirroring them all to see which ones work. And then once they work, and sometimes I'll layer them and mirror them, so you get much more abstract images. So yeah, and what's fun about it is that they always surprise me, because I never know what I'm going to get, and oftentimes you'll see a kind of a face or an image in the rough, and I'll say, oh God, that's interesting. Oh, I have to pull that out. I have to edit this bit out and move this bit around. And if I change this and do this, and eventually there it'll be, it's a little creation, so that's the practice that I work on. That's how I work. As I said, it's just part of the reason I do it is because it's a lot of fun. I love it's because, as I said, that's why I like the idea of being considered a surreal. My business card actually describes me as probably a surrealist, because again, it's the nature of surprise. It's the nature of the unexpected. It's the unexpected juxtaposition that makes the artwork kind of almost like it's kind of, I know I'm directing it, but in the same way, it's kind of, I feel a bit like I'm just bringing these things out rather than you know, I said, creating them in a way. It seems to suit me, you know, it seems to suit my way of thinking since I started doing these. Now I like, it took a lot, like when I made the first image, which actually I really like, it's a really nice image, and I really like it, and lots of other people like it as well. But since what's happening? Oh, it's just my screen. Yeah, since I, sorry, technical difficulty, you know, but since I made the first image, it took a while to really find, you know, to find my feet doing it, you know, and to find what I really wanted to do, which again, even still, I'm not 100% sure exactly. You know, I haven't kind of sat down and analyzed them and written a big long thesis where I say, this is what my work is about. It's about A, B, C, and D, and this is what I'm trying to express, because that kind of takes away the fun of it a little bit. You know, I have ideas about what it's about, you know, and I have kind of rough kind of areas in which, and I can see, as I look through them, I can see kind of certain, more just from the types of source material that I use. You know, most of my work, and especially the ones that work best, tend to come from stuff that has been abandoned or thrown away, like it's cut down trees, it's rotting mushrooms in the forest. And recently I've gotten really into the industrial stuff. So like one of the images I sent to you actually is just basically, it's a dustbin in a mechanic's yard. That's full, I was just full of all the machine parts and fag packets and stuff like that, you know. And the other one is just rubbish in an old abandoned car, you know. But I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff. I've always been fascinated by kind of the decaying, the abandoned, the lost, you know, stuff that's been thrown away, you know, because we live in a society where mountains of stuff is thrown away, and it is quite a significant problem, you know. But I said, I'm drawn to that. So I said, it interests me, and that's why I think they make interesting. So I've been writing notes about why this kind of thing interests me and what I can do with it further. Like it could be, so you could be using it as a way to express, you know, something about the environmental issues that we face at the moment, resource depletion, all that kind of stuff, you know. But that's further on down the line when I'm kind of a bit more confident about what I'm doing, because at the moment I'm still just exploring. You know, I found this really interesting play box, and I'm just playing in it and going, oh, that's interesting, oh, that's fun, you know. That's what I'm at, really, you know. And I suppose like the types of art that interest me, aside from surrealism, are I've always been fascinated by medieval art. You know, like when I go to the UK, I will always visit churches. The older, the better. You know, and you got those kind of, you know, you have mad stuff in medieval churches. You know, kind of Gothic gargoyles and stuff like that, which always is fascinating. Like kind of the I suppose for the medieval mind, they seem to see things differently, to a different lens than we do. And I'm also fascinated by outsider art. You know, I said there's a kind of it interests me more to a large degree than say like art of the Renaissance or stuff like that. You know, it's just that there's more, it's outsider art and kind of I suppose certain types of tribal art. Yeah, I remember seeing an exhibition in Amsterdam quite a few years ago. They had stuff by the Cobra art group, and they had a lot of stuff that inspired them, which were these kind of tribal heads from places like Benin and stuff like that, in Nigeria. And I thought that the Cobra stuff just looked so wan and weak beside the extraordinary tribal stuff, because the tribal stuff was so powerful, and you know, it really meant something to the people who made it. You know, it had a real power, and that just fascinated me. You know, it's the same with outsider art, because outsider art has this kind of, it has this intensity. It's expressing a real kind of, it really matters. There's a force to it, I think, that intrigues me. You know, but you know, and so I suppose because they also maybe it's because they're dealing more with the irrational. As a probably a surrealist, I'm kind of dealing with, to a certain degree, with the irrational as well, because my work is created it's not really created by rational processes. It's more created through, as I said, this process where the work kind of comes out of what I'm doing, you know, but it's not planned, or, you know, there is a certain amount of, like, you know, obviously when I get a particular idea, I do work it a lot to make it, you know, they're not just thrown together, as I think hope would be obvious from the work itself, you know. I got so much work done during the lockdown, you know, because I work in a restaurant to pay the bills. So I was out of work basically for 12 of the last 18 months. And so I had an awful lot of time at the expense of the state, which was very nice. I have to say thank you very much to the Irish government for keeping me afloat while I was working on my strange photographs. It was like a kind of a grant, But yeah, so I had a lot of time to work, and I had that wonderful experience where I had time to take the wrong path, and I could go down a path, see that it was the wrong path, and that would bring me back to the right path, So it was, I could experiment with things I knew weren't going to work because I had the time to do it, and I had time to think about it, and to just just to play with different things and see what worked the best, But now that I've got a bit of momentum going, I want to keep it going, and get my work out there and get some feedback on it and see what people think of them. That's, in the end of the day, that's all you want, really, is just to know, and hopefully that people might like them and say, like, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, that's cool. Advice: just keep doing it. Just keep working. Work. That's the only advice I'd give to an artist is work, read, and look. Even when I wasn't working, when I was sick, I always went to galleries. I always I live down in the countryside, but I always try to get up to Dublin to see the shows that are on in Dublin. When I'm in London, I go to all the galleries that are in London. I go to the stuff that interests me. Not all the galleries in London, I'll be there all day. But I just any artist, I would say, just first of all, look at everything, and don't just look at things that interest you. Look at everything. Look at stuff that doesn't interest you. Because that's important as well. Just expand your horizons as much as they can. Read as much as you can. And then just do it. Just keep doing it every day, even if you don't feel like doing it. And that's great advice to somebody who stopped working for about 5 years. But at the same time, it was always there. For me, making art was always like, even when I wasn't doing it, it was kind of like a phantom limb. It was always there. It was always on my mind. I just, for one reason or another, I wasn't able to do it. But now that I am, I feel reinvigorated by it. I said, but anyway, so, I said, that's the advice I would give. Just keep doing it, and, show it to people, show it to as many people as you can. Get opinions, good and bad, and listen to the bad opinion, listen to the critical opinions as well as the positive ones. Don't just listen to the positive ones, because, so I often say to people, like, if you like my work, tell me. If you don't like my work, tell me as well. More, if you're just going to say that's shit, then I say, oh, well, I don't care. But, if somebody says, I actually don't like this, I think this is, this is X, Y, and Z, and you could do this better, I'd say, oh yeah, actually, maybe they're right, so that's, just take on board all opinions, and just keep doing it.